Beto Sanchez is a 21-year industry veteran, originally from Mexico City and has been in the States for 11 years. He's a style folio brand educator and is an Ulta design team specialist. Today, we're going to hear all about how he got to where he is and what he's thinking about for his future. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes, and I am your host. And today, I'm with Beto Sanchez. How you doing today, Beto?
Pretty good. Thank you, Robert, for having me. Very exciting to be here with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, so for everybody listening and watching, just to give you a little context, I met Beto at Beauty Gives Back. And I got to hear your story, pieces of it because I was running in and out doing interviews with other people. But what I heard, I was very much like excited to when you said yes, you come on the show to share it. So I'm really, really excited and grateful in that. And Beauty Gives Back is an event that you all who are listening and following should definitely check out. It's a very inspirational and really awesome event. So, okay. So, Beto, tell us about your process of getting. I like to typically start with like, what was it like becoming a hairdresser? Where did you go through school? Did you do an apprenticeship, a mix of the two?
Yeah, I think being a hairstylist was not something that I ever looked up to or thinking like, oh my God, I want to do hair. I knew that I liked doing hair. I grew up with my mom and my sister, and they would let me play with their hair, and I would style it. And my little sister, she's 5 years younger, so sometimes I would do like braiding and styling when the flat irons came out in the market. I was like, oh, let's play with this. And was obsessed with some like pop culture references like Britney Spears and see that like super straight hair sometimes, and I will try to recreate that. So I had my real size Barbie dolls to play and do hair with, but for some reason being a hairstylist never sounded like something I wanted to do. And to be honest, I think that happened because nobody in my family does anything artistry, creative related. I think that I grew up really close to my mom's side of the family. Everybody did banking and more like 9 to 5 careers with all of that very like structured type of lifestyle. And I think that my mom saw something in me where she was like, I think you should try cosmetology school. And I was like, I don't know if I see myself as a as a hairstylist. I explored ideas about being an architect. It's just that math and angles and all of that complex mathematics, I think that I was scared of. I also thought about being a psychologist. I'm really fascinated about the way human brain works and why we do things the way we do. So there were a couple other career options that I thought about. But to be honest, I was actually so confused, and my mom noticed that. So when I finished high school back in Mexico, I'm originally from Mexico City, I should say. And when I finished high school, my mom was like, we're not gonna spend a ton of money in a career that you're uncertain about. So why don't you do something in between right now and then that help you decide? And I know you like hair, so let me suggest cosmetology school. And I was like, all right, I'll do cosmetology school. So that was really the beginning of my career because after that I didn't do anything else that was not hair related.
The architecture and psychology sound very much like the perfect I mean, if you unless you
Yeah.
don't cut hair, maybe if you're just a colorist, but but even then, you cutting hair and listen to people talk to you about their lives and trying to figure out what they really want, what do you really want? Like how are you looking at your hair? That's awesome. Okay, so you go to school and then to what happens after school? Do you work in a salon? Do you just do hair mobily on the side? Also like um was there an apprenticeship or anything like that?
Yeah, well, So because I was not very convinced about being a hairstylist at first, when I started cosmetology school back in Mexico City, I actually was working as a customer service representative for a company with their customers here in the US. So actually, I think that's what helped me to practice English, which, later on came in really handy when I moved here to the US. But I was doing half of my day doing that customer service job, and then half of the day doing cosmetology school. And I realized how much I liked it. When I finished cosmetology school, I moved into a salon, and I was being an assistant. I learned a lot of things. I always think that doing an assistant program is also one of the most helpful things that hairstylists can do. So if you're a hairstylist listening to the podcast and you don't know what to do right away, or you're scared, do an apprenticeship. Like, it's the best thing that you can do, doing hair and experiencing what the salon environment is day by day, like in a real life scenario. It's completely eye-opening, and it really does help you to feel ready to take care of your own clients. So I did that, and fortunately, a few years later, there was an opportunity for me to open a salon. So me and my sister partnered up, and she was a little bit more focused on the nail part of the salon. I decided to do fully hair. My sister's actually a makeup artist, so she started also kind of like starting to test like what makeup trends were and how to apply makeup and all that. And it's so funny because now she's a makeup artist instructor, and she's leading all the programs for a school in Mexico City about makeup. She's doing really great. And I focused on hair exclusively, and I just liked it. I just loved that human connection. I just loved how that communication, that connection that you have with your client, with your guest in the salon, how it happens is kind of like intoxicating. It's very tiring and very exhausting when you have long days, but I think just having that feeling of I made somebody feel beautiful today, like that's just it just feels great, and people are very grateful for it. Fortunately, all I've had probably 96% of my my career, or 98, 99% of my career, it's been all good experiences. So it's always just been a good feeling to be in the salon. And on top of that, I also feel the process is very relaxing, to be honest, like cutting hair, styling it, even doing a full set of foils. I find it relaxing. So I think I did really find the perfect career for me.
Nice. Love that. That's very inspiring and exciting. So when you telling somebody to do an apprenticeship, do you have any advice for the person who's listening to this and be like, maybe they're in school or just recently out of school, or maybe they landed in a salon for an apprenticeship that isn't, one of the big complaints that I hear from the students is that the salon owner, it says that they have a training program, but like they really don't, and or they're not consistent or whatever, and they're not growing at the same pace. So do you have any advice for anybody when they're out there looking for an apprenticeship or an employer at that point in their career?
Yeah, well, I might be a little biased because, as you might have learned in the event, I currently work for Ulta Beauty, and it's been the best job that I've ever had in my life for many reasons that, we'll go into other details about my job with Ulta Beauty. But we do have an apprenticeship program that lasts 3 to 6 months. And the really cool thing about that program, and what I think that it works really well for a hairstylist, is because we really do grow our apprenticeship, our assistant slash apprentice, to really learn all the skills that they learn in cosmetology school, but in real world scenarios. And we do put a lot of emphasis, and that's part of my job with design team specialist from Ulta Beauty, is to create programs that really grow hairstylists and make them feel like they're learning things that they can apply at the salon the next day after they learn it. And so we do that. We also don't drag our apprenticeship program for like 2 years, and then we're like, okay, well, we'll give you a chair and we'll pay you 10% of what you make, commission. It feels pretty like solid that in 3 to 6 months you learn how to do it. And then we give you a chair, and then you start making either hourly or commission depending on your services, but it feels like you can use it, like very real life, very getting you ready to start your career without sacrificing 2 years just uh washing towels, doing laundry, and washing hair. It's more preparing you for the real world as a hairstylist.
So go to Ulta Beauty if there's one nearby, and if there's not, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like a place you should be looking for some sort of structured program, because you said 3 to 6 months at least twice, which indicates to me that there's some sort of formal program. There's not just like bring in models and I'll work with you every weekend until you're ready. It's like you're gonna work on this and then this, then this. Is that right or no?
Yeah, that's right. We have classes that we have available through educational side. So you can go to the salon in times when you have a downtime, or even if you're busy, there's classes that you need to finish before you start taking clients. So like I said, we get you ready before we even send you out there. And obviously there's techniques that you need to learn with a mannequin head. For example, for me as a hairstylist, I have an assistant right now. So on top of helping me mix and doing all the different logistics that I have to do when I'm double booked or triple booked, I actually do care about showing my assistant what technique I'm doing, helping her with formulation, helping her with, hey, stay right by my side so you can see why I'm cutting this way. And I also have like really good communication with my guests. So nobody freaks out about like having another person just being, right next to me and explaining what I'm doing with the color, with the cut, or the styling. So it's a program where we have structured classes that you need to finish before you're ready to start taking care of your clients.
Nice. Okay, so moving on. So you said you open a salon, and so tell us about the salon, how big it was, how many people did you have working there, and how long did you do that? Because I'm assuming based on your timeline that you're still in Mexico City, so you haven't left for the States yet.
Yeah, right. The salon that I opened in Mexico City was named Posh Hair Salon. And it had three chairs, and at
Nice.
first it was just my sister and I. We wanted to see how that would work. And if we work well together, but also if we actually had the talent and the skill to have people coming back to us. Unfortunately, it was very successful from the beginning. In fact, my mom was the key piece in helping for the salon to grow, because she is a very organized person. Like I said, all my family has that background of banking, so she's very organized, spreadsheets for life, and she's really good with money. So she was basically just being the manager for the salon. But on top of that, through her job, I always would style her hair before going to work. So everybody would always compliment my mom. She was the one that always had her hair styled. So many people would ask her, "Where'd you get your hair done? Who does your hair?" So she was like, "My son," and he actually has a salon, in this area of the city. So like she started bringing clients right away, which was really cool and really convenient. And there was a lot of support from the family. Word of mouth started spreading out. So my sister and I got really busy with the salon really quick. I feel like that was kind of like the confirmation of like, okay, we're on the right track. This is a career choice, and we're happy with it. So yeah, I was actually kind of like putting a timeline, and that happened in 2009 when we opened that salon, and I had it for about 4 years before I had to sell it when I had plans to move to the US.
Okay, so tell us about that sales process. Like, what was that like? Can you give us whatever information that you can and have to give us to kind of let us, because I feel like that's a conversation that I would like to have more often is how do you sell your business once you build it?
Well, this is kind of funny. It was very informal, to be honest. First of all, when I started making plans to come to the US, I even talked to my sister and I said, can you handle the salon on your own? You'll hire your stylist, but you already have clients that will come to you. She was not fully committed to the makeup yet in that part of her life or even her styling. So she said no. But at that point, I already had one of my clients who was a neighbor in the area, and I had my cousin interested in buying the business. They knew that it was successful. We had a set of clients, so they thought it was a good investment. And I don't know if you've heard of or if anybody in the podcast is familiar, but like it, Mexico is not as oh, how can I say it? Not as formal when it comes to a lot of paperwork. So there
Okay.
was really not a lot involved. It wasn't really hard, honestly. My cousin said, like, I will pay you this amount of money for your business. Like, basically, I'll just, we signed a couple of paperwork and that was it. It was really easy. Fortunately, he was already interested and he was one of our clients and he always saw that there was people there. So he was very interested. So he kept us along for a couple of years and um, he had later on a little bit of trouble finding stylists to work with the schedules that he needed and all that. So unfortunately, the salon closed a couple of years after I sold it, but it was honestly very easy. There was just very little paperwork to be signed, and my cousin came up with a strong offer, and I was like, "Let's do it."
Nice, nice. Okay, so and then what prompted you to come to the States?
My ex-husband. So I met my ex-husband at a bar in Mexico City. We fell in love. He was visiting Mexico City for only about 6 months, but we fell in love. We started dating. He ended up staying longer than those 6 months. So we dated in Mexico City for about a couple of years. And then he had a really good job offer here in Chicago. So he moved back and offered that I moved with him. And that was kind of like halfway through the salon life. So I had the salon for a couple of years and it was very successful. I was really enjoying it. It's a very cool project that I was very proud of, like managing it with my sister. My dad was helping too. My mom was managing it. So I didn't want to just stop. So we did a long distance for about a couple of years. And then we decided that I was gonna move here to the US with him. But the one thing that I also knew for sure is that hair was what I was going to be doing. So as soon as I moved here to the US, I went right back to cosmetology school, used that money that my cousin paid me for that salon and put it all in my cosmetology school. Um, and it was great. I finished paying
Nice.
really quick.
So your license wouldn't you couldn't get any credit. Did you get any credit for the hours of already been doing hair at all?
No, I think what really helped is that I had the experience of all those years beforehand, but there you don't at least back when I lived in Mexico City, there was no official license to be a hairstylist. There
Okay.
were like when I finished cosmetology school, I got a diploma from the school, and I had the a recommendation letter for the 2 years that I was an apprentice and I started taking clients, but that doesn't really matter as much because the US board focuses a lot on the sanitation part and make sure that, the salon is a safe environment for everybody and that you can see as many guests as you want in a day and everybody's safe and everything is sterile and clean. And so because of that, you can't really transfer any sort of experience. But what did really help was the amount of hours that I spent in cosmetology school here in Chicago because they put me on the floor as soon as I finished my tests, and just time went by really quickly. So I picked right up that experience and I put it in practice as soon as I was able to do it. So I went to Stephen Papa George School here in Chicago, and the owner was really nice. He noticed that I had a lot of experience, so he helped as much as I could to put me in photo shoots and give me those extra hours so I could finish the school really quick. So thank you, Stephen, for that. That was really great help.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so all right. So then after school, so you move you build a business, you fall in love, you sell your business, you make a huge move, you go back to school. Now you got your license, you're in the States. Now what? Are you like just in school? Are you working in a salon? How do you make what's that next move in the next transitionary period like?
Yeah, when I was finishing my last hours of cosmetology school, one of my teachers recommended that I started searching for salons where I could either finish my hours, because there was this kind of like program where you could work hours as an apprentice or as an assistant in a salon, and they would report back to the school. So that counted towards finishing your hours. And I found a salon nearby that I really liked, and I went and I just said, I literally just went to the salon and I said, "Hey, I'm in a school that is like a few blocks away, and I'm interested in being an assistant. Like, what do I need? What paperwork do I need?" So they booked an interview with the manager at the time, and I had that interview, and he just said yes right away. So I started probably like a couple of weeks later, and that's the salon where I started working as soon as I finished cosmetology school. And I was in that salon for about a couple of years. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot, and actually, that's the owner of that salon pushed me to finish my program of being a Wella master color expert. And through that program, I met the instructors and they encouraged me to be an educator because they saw how much I liked the industry doing hair and how much I learned, and I wanted to do that for other people and get them excited about the things that you can learn so they can make your salon time a lot easier and a lot faster in getting the results that you want. And they invited me to audition. So that's also how my Wella journey started. I feel like it was just a very one thing led to another. And but yeah, it was at that salon on it's not anymore there. It's called Exo Studio, or it was called Exo Studio, but it was a good time.
Did you have to do an apprenticeship or anything, or were you able to get right onto the floor?
I did, and to be honest, my apprenticeship on that salon wasn't long because a lot of the people that I met at the salon in the school, they followed me into the new salon. So the owner was like, "Why am I gonna keep him as an assistant when he already has an appointment book half full?" So he gave me a chair probably I would say just a few months after I finished and I got my license. And yeah, I started getting clients right away, and word of mouth is really the best way to get clients. If you make somebody love their hair and you do a good job and they get compliments, it will like people around them will ask them, "Where did you go?" And they'll bring clients to your chair. So word of mouth is that's how I started building my book.
Nice, awesome, awesome. So you get into Wella, and that really like that ex kind of your career. Sounds like your career is like has takes a major turn there. Once you get with Wella, is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure. There were a few things that I also never saw myself being an educator. I feel like what I learned in cosmetology school in Mexico, well, that was good knowledge to learn the basics of how color cutting and style works. I don't think the education was so in depth as I have learned through the brands here, which is something that I always talk about here in the US. You guys have, or I guess we have here, like the biggest or bigger companies for coloring, for styling, hot tools. And you really can get such good knowledge and such good education from them. And I feel like once I was in the Wella, I auditioned and I got my job as a brand educator, and I really get to understand in depth color, the chemistry, the application, how every single color line works. I feel like I just got really excited, and I feel like my career promptly took that half behind the chair and half focus on education because I really liked it. And I feel like also my excitement to share that makes my managers want to book me more to other salons because I get them excited. Uh, and I feel like one, I didn't know that I was so passionate about hair coloring and I would understand the way I did. And two, coming from a Spanish speaking country, English is not my first language. I always felt very hesitant and very I was second guessing my accent and if people would be able to understand what I was saying and things like that. So I think I had to like really overcome that fear of feeling like I sounded different or sometimes stupid or silly or that I had to repeat myself for people to understand and just put myself out there and understand that every time I teach a class, what's really important is the message that I'm bringing and the excitement of helping other people learn what I already know. So, you know, to make their lives easier. And I feel like that's what I thought about many times and stopped thinking if my accent is really strong or if I sound a little different, you know, than Americans.
Well, I think it's pretty awesome. It's like what you're talking about is like you're digging what I mean, you're talking about a number of things. So one of the things that I'm hearing you talk about is like the depths that one can reach in terms of their understanding about their craft is really going to be hard to uh match or challenge the depths that one can go with if they're working with a brand. You know, like if a brand has millions of dollars and tons of resources to do research and development and hire scientists and stuff, so it makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a really important piece of information. I guess where I'm wondering is, I feel like this is like a great place to like ask you like what type of stuff you're working on now, and what you're thinking about for the near future, and maybe a little further out than the near future.
Yeah, well, I think that all that educational background led into me becoming part of the Ulta Beauty design team. I auditioned to be part of the design team and at the same time hairstylist for the salon because I met Nick Stenson in an industry event. And we actually run into each other a couple of times. We have this mutual industry icon that we both know, which is Sonia Dove. And she introduced me to him and saying that I was a color educator. And Nick has this thing about always putting the best teams together. And the moment like we met, it's almost like you're right away in a interview, like in a job interview. So he's asking a lot about like color and what makes me passionate about it and what did I do with color. So eventually I became part of the design team. And I think that what got me in there and a key piece of the experience that I had was the educational background because currently one of the things that we're working as design team specialist with three of my teammates and I is creating the programs, a program in particular called Transpiration. So what we do is we are taking all the trends that are happening this current year, forecasting what's happening for the next year, and doing technical education about how to recreate it. Because the people in the salon that see these images that my team and I create and they're and the walls in every single Ulta Beauty store, they want to know what's the formula that created that. What's the placement that you need to create that accent piece? What is the type of texture that you cut in order for the fringe to lay in a certain way? So my three teammates and I are working on that program really hard right now. It's a really cool project that it's kind of like our baby because we created the first transpiration class last year. It was very, very successful. We got really great reviews from our hairstylists in the company. And so we're working on the one for next year. So that's what's taking a lot of my time right now. And it's very it's kind of cool, and I think that's why it's such a proud thing for us because we really create this starting from zero. There was no previous program that looked like that, and suddenly we're like, okay, how are we gonna create the images? How are we gonna structure the class? Obviously, even being a corporate salon and corporate with corporate rules, we have to even program like our breaks at a certain time. So I feel like it's helping us to just really be very creating a class with all things being very thought of, including timing, besides the content, and still working with my Wella portfolio brands. A part of the Wella portfolio is Wella, Niox, and Sebastian. And so doing events and educational things for them. And I'm working with a really big it's kind of like a hairstylist recommendation type of campaign for GHD, which is one of my favorite brands that I work for, is Styling Tools. And I also believe that styling is like such a big thing as in a hair appointment. So working for a brand that creates really amazing tools is something that I really enjoy. Plus the perk of getting those tools and in my door, getting boxes every few months is just so beautiful. But working with a big campaign and just that campaign with GHDs, what do hairstylists think is so great about GHD? Why do we recommend that not just for other hairstylists, but something that the consumers can also use at home? So just, and then at the same time also like still keeping a healthy salon book with appointments and with my clients. So I feel like every week looks completely different than, the previous one. Even this week is every single day I'm doing something different, which I find it really cool, but working on so many projects at the time, and that's just how it usually goes.
So if there's a lot of people that want to work for a brand and they want to they like well, everything you're talking about, you're you're also course creation and like structuring a day and like thinking about like how long people's attention spans are going to be and like do we need to change the method of learning and do we need to let them have a break. I mean, all that is I think it's such a, strong and powerful exercise for like most people to go through. Just in general, I feel like it helps in so many ways. um Not to mention the fun stuff, like getting the free stuff or just being on stage or being in front of a classroom and like sharing your passion. So, do you have any recommendations for somebody who is really hearing your story and be like, this sounds so cool, I want to do this?
Yeah, I think the approach that I had when I started joining the educational part of my career, especially with Wella, is not to focus on the cool part of traveling or the free stuff that you can get. I think truly you need to love what you're teaching. You need to believe in what you're teaching. And for example, with Well, I was just so amazed about understanding color and the chemistry and what different color lines do. So I feel like the rest is just a second thought or a second thing, but it's so important that you actually truly believe what you're teaching and that you're passionate about it, because what you will see in my social media, what you will see in other people's social media that work for brands is that they're in a different city every day, like cool hotels or do this like really cool events, and we're in airports, and trust me, that is a lot more exhausting than what people read. People still come to me in events, they're like, you live such a cool life and it's so incredible, and I'm like, I'm also like most of the time just missing home and being tired of being in an airport, to be honest. And I'm saying this with full honesty. The reason why I still do it, and why even if after a week-long trip that you come home and you're exhausted, you don't want to know anything about hair or talk to anyone because you've drained your social battery, with people in the industry and giving your all in classes and to the interactions that you have. It's because I truly love what I teach. I truly believe in um, empowering hairstylists with the knowledge that you can give them. And so I feel like if that's the passion that you're seeking and that you're looking for, then definitely try to reach out to a brand that feels like it fits aesthetic, like it's a good connection, and try to reach out to them, try to learn a lot from them. And I mean, what worked for me was actually reaching out to the people that led my trainings and let them know that I thought it was really cool what they did and how they got there, and they helped me and connected me with the right people to get an audition with a brand. So just put yourself out there, put your name out there, go to industry events, get to know people, and if you're gonna do it because you're really passionate about what you're gonna teach.
Nice, that's really good advice. I love that. Okay, and then as far as somebody who is maybe working with different brands and like 'cause a lot of people talk about like make content and tag the brand a lot and that helps get awareness. Like is that still a thing, or is it too saturated of the space? Because I know I know social media, the realities of social media are constantly evolving. So can you tell us about that also, like how has social media and what you do kind of evolved at all in terms of finding opportunities and growing your
Yeah, I think it's a really great question because, like you said, I feel like sometimes we get in this mechanical thing of like just tag all of the brands and tag, use all of the hashtags where we're doing posts. But if you're mentioning everybody, then nobody's seeing it. Or, it's not, you have to aim to one specific brand and approach them. But also it's almost like that as you were saying it, I was almost visualizing showing up to a brand's desk in person and being like, hey, do you want to give me a job, or what can I do to post for you, right? But then you have an incomplete resume, or you just have like a piece of paper that is all wrinkled, or like it doesn't have your information. So I think that if you are going to do that, and if you are going to reach out to a brand via DM or something more direct because you really want their attention and you really feel passionate about it, I feel like there's some prep thing to do that you have to do, like if your Instagram is pretty, looks nice, you're actually sharing important information, the end results are beautiful, if your content is working and it's pretty, then reaching out to a brand will actually help you because they'll notice your content and how beautiful you shoot your videos or your images and how you showcase their products. But if you're just tagging them because you feel like it's what has to be done, I don't think it's gonna really accomplish anything. Um, and the reason why I'm saying it too is because even working for a few brands and knowing in person the people that are behind, running their social media, like they love to be tagged, but they also won't respond to something that does not line up with their brands. And obviously they will have an aesthetic that meets certain uh almost like quality expectation, so I think if you prep your Instagram to look like a nice neat resume and then you reach out to the brand, that's probably the best thing that you can do.
Nice, nice. That's so good. Awesome. All right, cool. Well, I think this has been a really great conversation with you. I appreciate you taking the time to share your story. And before we go, I wanted to know, like, what are you like when you think about the next like 3 years of hair? Like, where do you see hair going in 3 years? Maybe 3 to 5 years. Like, what type of evolution do you see happening? It could be in anything. It could be in tech. It could be psychology. It could be prices. It could be design. And then also like what type of things should we expect to see from you as we pay attention to your career as you continue to do what you're doing?
That is a very interesting question when it comes to trying to forecasting what's going to happen with your hair for 3 years. One of the things that I would say is I really like how we have stopped putting such a strong uh, gender label to the things that we create with hair, with cuts, with colors. Like boys wearing pink hair is not seen as like, oh, but that's a boy. Why is he wearing pink? The cuts that we're doing, for example, right now, like flow cuts, jellyfish cuts, all of them are so gender neutral, gender fluid. Just I like that. I love that. And I feel like we're definitely going to keep moving in that direction. I love that people have that freedom and feel that express themselves with their hair and to um I would say I'm live in a big city, right? I live in Chicago and in big cities like New York and LA, like I feel like you can feel free to wear whatever hair you want and nobody's gonna look twice unless they're gonna, give you a compliment and they say your hair is really cool. That's probably also like the very like positive mindset that I have, but hopefully that evolves into like smaller towns where people are a little bit more conservative and seeing those hair colors and creations becoming more popular, people embrace it and accept it a little bit more, or at least don't say anything negative if they see something that they don't like, because at the end of the day, hair is just an expression of who you are. And I feel like feeling free to do whatever you want with something that you're growing out of your own scalp, it should be allowed and shouldn't be criticized or judged, So I would say probably, like I said, for trends, it's kind of like hard to know. They change so fast, especially with social media being so big. But I do like where this is going about stop genderizing haircuts, hair colors, and hairstyles, and allowing people to just be themselves and expressing it through the hair.
Well, maybe it'd be cool to see some people in I don't know, what's the word, historically conservative industries, maybe some CEOs or some board members wearing, something more expressive and individual expression. I think that'd be cool. Or maybe even positions of government. I think I feel like for me that's what we would need to see in order for people to like really because I feel like it's evolving, and I'm on board with what you want to see. I want to see that too. I think, and for me, if I was going to add on to that, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see people in positions of influence and power in historically conservative, and conservative not like politically, but like how you have to dress and how you have to wear your hair, but historic, like banking and oil and gas and government and stuff like that. I'd like to see people like that in those positions to have pink hair and whatever, do something
Yeah.
different. So what about your personal thoughts about your own future? What should we be looking at for you?
Well, I think I'm at a point where I've done so much in the last few years, and I've gotten to places where I never thought I would be when it comes to leading projects and doing educational. It's also a lot. It takes so much of my time to have a full career as an Ulta Beauty design team member, a full career as an brand educator, a full career in the salon. So I feel like right now what I've been focusing a lot is on not adding more to my plate and more like putting 100% my focus on the projects that I really love and that I really have right now. I think that with this kind of like mental health acknowledgement of like what people are struggling with sometimes, I feel like it made me also look at like how much I can give of myself in order to actually enjoy what I'm doing. So I used to be like a yes, 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 yes. I'll do any project. I'll travel anywhere. I'll make any schedule fit and work 7 days a week. And I do appreciate and I love and I think that there's a point of of some people's careers where they are willing to put that in there, that work. I already did that for so many years, and I'm not saying I'm slowing down, but I am just refocusing a little bit more and enjoying the things that like my personal time and my personal life and my dog and my partner and my apartment and things that are also not hair related that also require time. I don't know exactly what would happen, in a year, 2, 5, 10. But one thing that I do feel like I've been putting a lot of focuses and making sure that I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now with work, not feeling so overwhelmed, and everything that I'm putting out there work-wise is with love and with passion. And then I still have time to put love, passion, and time in my personal things. So that really has been my focus right now. And I think that's something that you should probably, for all the people in the industry that also feel overwhelmed or like feeling like you're juggling too much, maybe just take a little moment and enjoy what you have right now and be a little bit more selective about the projects that you say yes to. And because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So if it's something that is like personal important for you, maybe the yes has to go to the other side.
That's so good. That is an incredible way to wrap it up. I think that message is a great sign-off message. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time, sharing your story and your words of wisdom and your pathway to success. And I hope to have you on the show again in the near future. But for now, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for the space. I enjoy so much talking about this and just like you know, when we met in that event, like just having hairstylists understanding other areas than just how to create the perfect balayage, I think it's really important. We're all humans and we all have a personal life and we all want career aspirations. So I'm happy to share this story and hope some of these things help other hairstylists to grow their own careers as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Robert. See you next time.